Hi fam, I am Chef Leah Delight DiBernardo. Welcome to At the Table, our new weekly podcast where we invite thought-provoking guests to gather around the table to talk about good food, community, and everything in between. My pup Remy and I are happy you're here. Hey fam, welcome back. I'm Chef Leah Delight DiBernardo, and I'm at the table today with another scientist. I have this thing with scientists right now. Kelcey Stricker.
Yes.
Who I've known for, I want to say like 15 years now.
I think that's accurate.
Right?
Yeah.
We both kind of hang out in the awesome Southern California Temecula Valley.
Yes.
And
I've been a resident there for a little while.
Yeah, just a little while.
A little while.
But we're just going to jump right into it. So tell us what you're doing right now so I don't mispronounce it.
I am currently the Health and Safety Director for the Wildfire Conservancy. We're a research nonprofit, and we're focused on firefighter health and safety and community resilience. And we also work on this other thing called initial attack effectiveness, which has to do with how you fight fires. So
how you fight fires.
Yeah.
That's going to be a whole conversation. And I know there's a lot of people out there right now, okay, what does this have to do with food? Well,
Sure.
I think all scientists have some kind of background in food or some prelude to food. So we're going to dig into all of that.
Okay.
And I want to also bring up your work that you did with Pechanga.
Mm-hmm.
And Pechanga, can you share that and what Pechanga is for this community as well?
Sure. So I worked as the environmental director for the Pechanga tribal government for about 10 years. So Pechanga is a local tribe. They have some reservation lands in Southern California that kind of border Temecula and then also San Diego County. So I worked for them for, like I said, about 10 years. And I did everything from forestry management and native plant conservation. I did a school garden. That's right. We worked on that together for a little bit.
Native plants and school gardens. I want to touch on that because I know that we had met through an event, a couple events, but that's when we really started to get to know each other because you had called me in regards to a garden program at Pechanga.
Yeah.
For, was it an elementary school or?
Yeah, so the tribal government has their own school there, and it's K through 5th. They also have some preschool and like Mommy and Me kind of programs, but they have a fully chartered school, K through 5th, for tribal members. And so we worked with the kids there and helped develop a whole curriculum around their garden program. So there were a couple of goals. The school principal was really interested in health and nutrition and making sure kids
as
learned
they
about
should
growing
be.
food,
Yeah.
right? And then we brought in some of the like environmental and conservation components and talked a lot about organic gardening and things like that too. So
that was what year was that roughly? Wasn't that like 15, 16, like right in there, right?
Yeah, it probably would have been about 2015.
Yeah, so there was this really wonderful period of our lives here in Temecula where we had the slow food movement, like really active, right, with our government, with community partners, the chamber, Visit Temecula, Pechanga, the school district, Temecula Valley School District. And at one time, we had 26 edible and academic school gardens happening in the valley. And I was one of the catalysts for making that happen with a lovely group of humans. And I remember that's when you and I just we had our first connection. Yeah. And my very first impression of you was, wow, she's really smart. She's so well spoken and she gets it. And then I remember we were at some kind of gathering and you had corrected someone and I backed you up so fast because they were like, oh, Pechanga. And you're like, it's actually Pechanga, and let's be respectful of, this tribe that's here in our community and everything they do, right? This is, and I'm like, that's right, this is their land. And then I think you corrected me on that and we were off to the races after that.
Yeah, that's probably, for better or for worse, I do tend to do that a little bit, so...
well, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm here for that.
Yeah. No, it was a great experience for me. I learned so much working there. I come from a very Western traditional academic background. That was my career until I worked there. And it completely changed my perspective on how I look at landscapes and lands management. So it was great professionally for me to kind of grow into that. And I've brought a lot of it forward because I teach now like fire ecology through Cal State San Marcos, and still work a lot in, lands management and habitat restoration, that kind of thing.
So with habitat restoration, I want to ask you, what are some indigenous foods that grow here? Some indigenous plants that we can use for, to create dishes and consume?
Yeah, so I was thinking a lot about this because you and I have talked about this a few times.
We have.
And maybe this is more of a chef question, but to me, there seems to be a difference between foods that you would use as kind of like a main or a staple versus herbs or something that you would put on just to make it taste better,
like
right?
infusion or garnishes or like medicinal.
Exactly, because sage is edible, but nobody's going to eat a salad of sage leaves. I wouldn't anyway.
Okay, well, I will tell you, here's a dish right here. You could take those sage leaves and you can coat them in a little cornmeal or a little flour, and you can do a quick deep fry, and they're the best chip. And then dip them in a garlic aioli.
Yeah.
So there's a recipe right there with sage leaves.
Yeah. So, okay. So I would
now
say...
I'm hungry.
I know, right? So one of my favorite edibles, and probably I think the most accessible to people who might not be comfortable eating outside food would be prickly pears. So, the tuna and the cactus, or whatever you want to call it. So
Are you familiar with Lost Ranch Winery?
I'm not sure.
We carry their wines.
Oh, yeah, Lost Ranch. Yeah,
Lost Ranch. We carry their wines at Eat. And one of the things, so that's a winery here in in Temecula Valley or in Riverside County, for those of you that aren't as familiar with the area. And Lost Ranch just fermented a white grape with cactus.
Okay.
And the wine is called Cactus.
Oh, we had that at your house.
Yes,
yeah,
we did.
Yeah,
and
it was wonderful.
Just mind blown about that. I mean, as a scientist, I'm sure you concur with this, but it's like that whole fermentation. And I think a lot of the indigenous plants that you're aware of, because you had told me also that there was fennel, and then there's a garlic, and then there was a really interesting plant that I wasn't as familiar with, and now I'm going to have to, hopefully over the next little bit of time while we're talking, it'll pop to the forefront of our mind.
Maybe manzanita or elderberry or lemonade berry or chokecherry. Lemonade berry?
Yes. What is a lemonade berry? Do you know?
Like botanically? Well, I would have to look it up.
Like, what's the flavor profile? Because I was going to think lemon. Is it?
It is. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's kind of why it's called that. No, it's not a citrus fruit at all. So it's native to our chaparral ecosystems, and I'm a terrible botanist. I'm going to forget the scientific name off the top of my head, but maybe we can add it later in notes or something like that. But yeah.
But you just gave us like 5 to 6 indigenous local plants. So for the chefs out there, for the bartenders, there you go.
Yeah.
Like, go picking.
Yeah. Yeah. So
just make sure if you see a no trespassing sign, please don't hop the fence.
And always double check your edibles, right? Don't just go outside and eat plants.
Just don't go eat edibles if they're not the right edibles.
Yeah, make sure you go, if it's your first time, with somebody knowledgeable. That's my disclaimer there. But
I know, 100%. Always want to be really safe. It's like even some people who go foraging for mushrooms, like, you really need to know what you're doing, man. You could just...
I'm too afraid to go look.
Yeah.
Well, I also
As am I.
Yeah, I'm not a huge mushroom person to begin with, but a lot of mushrooms around here are edible and are a big part of indigenous foods, like some of the turkey tail mushrooms and things like that.
Turkey tail is amazing for your gut. So pachanga, they use a lot of, what's the nut that they're
maybe acorns is what you're thinking of.
Excuse me. Yeah.
So
is that still used today, or?
Yeah. So it's We Wish is what is made, and
We Wish.
So it's you'd have to talk to some folks there, but there's a whole process because you
have to really break it down. Yeah.
It's the tannins, and so if you don't wash it really well with lots and lots of water, not only does it not really taste too great, but it can kind of give you a bit of an upset stomach. So,
get you sick.
Yeah.
Get
so
you
you really
sick.
have to know how to prepare it. But I've gone to, when I worked at Pechanga, I had the opportunity to go to all of these different tribes in not just in the southwestern area, but across the U.S., depending on the conferences and the different meetings I was attending, which was super cool. But one of them was more botanical based and talked a lot about foods and plants and things like that. And I was told that they've done a lot of analysis on this, and acorns and the wee wish, or the whatever you want to call it, porridge that you make out of it, is pretty nutritionally complete. And it was more of like a winter food, or when it was harder to find other types of foods.
That's very accurate, actually.
Yeah.
It is nutritionally complete. Mm-hmm. And I was just curious if Pechanga was still utilizing that as a heritage dish and still had that, because that is food and heritage, right, go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And I love that they're keeping that.
Oh yeah, it's a huge part of the cultural programs, and then the youth in the summertime, they have basically a summer camp for tribal youth, and part of it includes a lot learning about how to gather and prepare a lot of the traditional foods, and then they do a big feed at the end of the summer for all the tribal members. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love heritage. That's rad. You're laughing? What?
Well, I was going to say, one of the best parts of working there is that even if you weren't a tribal member, if you were just an employee or whatever, around Thanksgiving, if you just brought in a turkey or whatever you wanted, they did a big pit cook. And so you would just bring in your turkey, and they would put like a little metal tag in it, wrap it up, and put it in a big pit underground and cook it for you.
That's awesome.
They did it for the whole community, so they just do.
I'm doing that. That sounds absolutely crazy delicious.
Yeah, so that was always an option.
That's a good option. It's a good option to have. Mm-hmm. All right. So how did you get from that, I'm curious, to fire? Because I know that you and your husband Matt were first on the scene during the Altadena fires, but not Altadena. Yeah. You guys went to.
I was at the Palisades IC, which was down in Zuma Beach, working on a cancer project. So one of the things that I work on is a long-term sort of nationwide study of occupational exposures in cancer in firefighters. The reason we were at that particular incident was because it was such a large fire, and because it involved so many things other than just brush, right? Like homes were burning, plastics, a lot of electric cars, batteries, solar panels. There were quite a few things that burned that caused a lot of exposures. And for most of the fire, there was not a lot of respiratory protection for the firefighters. So I was there to collect biological samples from the firefighters to kind of help with an analysis of exposures.
So when you say biological contaminants,
it's pee.
Huh?
I was collecting pee.
You were collecting. I was just going to ask you, what were you collecting?
We also,
she doesn't even let me finish it. I'm like, so what is it you were collecting?
I try to be,
it was their pee. We were harvesting.
It was pee. Yeah.
Firefighter pee.
But we also use silicone wristbands as a way to collect exposures too. So that was, those were the two things.
Scraping dust and stuff off them, it came from?
No, because what we're interested in is not what's on their gear, but what actually gets into their bodies, right?
Well, of course, and that makes so much sense. Yeah. I want to, it's interesting when we think about contaminants. And one, I just want to thank you for doing this, because I really feel like between utility workers that have to go out on the scene of fires, and then firefighters that, in my very novice opinion, our knowledge, but my opinion is that they just don't seem like that they have the right safety gear for our modern day contaminants. Because I do think now when things are burning, because we were in Pasadena and we were masking up because all I could think about was all the plastic and all the wire and all this stuff that had burned, and it's in the ash and it's floating down and it's hitting you and you're breathing it in. Yeah. So I'm assuming like that's the concern, right?
It is, and especially with our move towards battery storage and battery operated, bikes, vehicles, that kind of thing. Lithium contamination has become a huge problem, and we don't really have a good way to clean that out of PPE right now. So PPE is the personal protective equipment, and that can include like the jacket, the pants, the boots, helmet, gloves, anything you wear to protect yourself. Yeah. So we don't have a good way to clean that out right now. So lithium contamination has become a big problem. But to kind of answer your earlier question, the way I got from working at Pechanga doing environmental work to working on firefighters was via air quality. So when I worked for the tribe, the environmental department covered a lot of different things, and it included air quality and water quality. So if you're not geographically familiar with the area, the tribal lands are located east of the beach area, but also Camp Pendleton, which catches on fire pretty frequently. So when I worked on our air quality project, a big part of my job was working with alerting the community about wildfire smoke, from other fires too, but a lot from Camp Pendleton, and giving recommendations for safety, when to put a mask on, when to stay inside, how to put together, clean rooms, because we had a lot of vulnerable populations.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of controversy around masks when it comes to the flu and things like that. But really, what's your opinion on wearing a really good mask when, in fact, we've had a fire and we have these contaminants?
Yeah. So, obviously people need to kind of make their own assessments on their own personal health and their own, medical conditions or whatever it is they have going on. But I always recommend an N95 mask because that helps filter out all the small particles, the really small stuff that comes from ash and soot. And what we worry about is what we call PM 2.5, which is particulate matter. It's 2.5 microns or smaller than the width of a hair, because you inhale it and it actually enters your bloodstream. So
good reason to wear a mask after a fire.
Exactly. Or if it's smoky out, or if it's just
just a crappy,
really dusty,
nasty day out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. With some smog maybe, and we do get that in Southern California.
Yeah. So our air quality, at least in Temecula, is actually better than most of Southern California, LA Basin area, but yeah, it's not great out here.
Yeah, because we have the ocean's 15 miles, they say, by the way a crow flies. So we have this really wonderful breeze that comes across the mountains from the water, goes right up into wine country and cools off the grapes, which is why we're known as a wine region here. So there you go, from all of that to that.
Yeah.
But I do find it interesting, the studying that you're doing makes sense to me, because I did a study some time ago being involved with slow food and working with a lot of young children with garden programs, and we would bring them on these tours, and someone had brought it to my attention. It was a farmer, you're going to go to this pumpkin patch. Well, it's a non-organic pumpkin patch, and you're having these kids go through and touch everything, and they're walking through it. Then they're going to be touching their mouth, their ears, as kids do, and they're touching everything. And then they're going to go home, and it's going to be on their shoes, and it takes weeks and weeks for this stuff to dissipate. And I was so shocked by that statement. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I just didn't think about that. So this whole thing with regenerative farm spaces and regenerative or organic pumpkin patch, strawberry patches, where you go pick, right?
Yeah.
We actually have the blackberry fields in Temecula, which is all regenerative. You can go pick your own blackberries, and my hat's off to that family.
Yeah.
Because they thought about that.
Right.
So I find it interesting that how they tie in together, and that the work you're doing to keep our firefighters safe.
Yeah.
Right. Long term, right?
Right.
Because of all their exposure. Oh my goodness, that's a lot. Okay, now I'm going to ask. I'm going to totally go the other direction.
Yeah, no problem.
And ask you, when you're on the scene doing some of this work.
Yeah.
What is the food you see the firefighters eating the most, and what is your favorite food?
Okay.
From being on the scene.
So I will say the first thing I do want to say as a positive is the firefighters have, when they do these types of fires, which are called wildland or wildland urban interface fires. So these are the really big fires. They're out for 24-hour shift, right? They get essentially, it's like a sack lunch. but it's their meals for the entire 24-hour shift, and it has to meet certain calorie requirements and all that stuff. They used to be kind of icky, like a lot of junk food, but at least the folks that work with CAL FIRE have made these great advancements and changed the regulation or the requirements. So now there's a lot more fruit and that kind of thing, which is nice to see.
Well, you need X amount of carb and protein.
Yeah, so there's calorie, carb, protein, fat, that kind of thing.
Wonderful.
Because of the heavy physical labor they're doing.
Okay, sure, but what's your favorite?
But the breakfast that they have on site is kind of your standard, like pancakes, hash browns, that kind of thing. My favorite is always going to be some sort of hash brown or fried potato product.
That's awesome.
But it's like diner food, right? It's, it's pancakes, it's bacon, it's sausage.
You just take the pancake and then the hash browns, put it on top of the pancake, and then the bacon, and roll it all up and eat it like call that the firefighter SoCal burrito.
That's right. Oh, they do breakfast burritos sometimes too.
I should hope so.
That's good get some good salsa out there.
All right, so hash browns is your favorite food when
anything
you're out.
potato is going to be my go-to.
Oh, that's good to know. I love that about you. So potato is like your go-to. That's going to take me right back to what is your favorite dish when you were a kid then?
Oh, my goodness.
Like growing up, was potatoes a thing or?
You and I have talked a little bit about my food culture growing up. So just for context, I grew up, but at least when I was younger, we'll say economically humble. And
I love that.
Yeah.
Instead of me just saying, just my poor ass self.
Yeah. And, I will say my mom's gotten a lot better, but she wasn't a great cook when I was younger either. So it was a lot of, dry spaghetti with a jar of sauce or rice and air-popped popcorn, that kind of thing.
All mixed together? No, just kidding.
Oh, no, we weren't that creative.
We weren't that creative.
Yeah. And in fact, in middle school, I took this Whole Foods class in school, which was great, by the way, because I had no idea. It was my first time making bagels from scratch. Didn't even know that was a thing.
Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You just in high school, junior high school?
No, this was middle school.
Okay, so middle school, sorry, my generation, junior high school.
Oh, yeah. Same.
For all the Generation Xers out there. And then you casually just throw in, I'd never made a bagel before. Okay, what the hell? You don't just go to home econ and all of a sudden pump out a bagel.
So I had a good, probably a good instructor. They had a little kitchen. They had a whole culinary.
You had a great instructor. Yeah. You were making bagels.
But here's the important part.
Were they flying the water in from New York?
No. Oh, God, no.
Because that's how you get a good bagel, by the way.
But part of the, end of semester sort of project was you had to bring in these family recipes, right? And then they had they had the demonstration one at the front with the mirror, right? And there was this whole sheet you had to go up and write down your recipe and do the techniques and demonstrate it. And man, all these kids were bringing enchiladas, lasagna, really good food. Do you want to guess what my family recipe is that I brought in from my mother?
Spaghetti red sauce with cheddar cheese on top?
Oh, no, that's my dad's side of the family. No, it was egg in the hole. Do you know where you take the toast and you pull out the middle? And or egg in a basket, whatever.
Yeah, but I think that's really bitchin'.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I went up there and,
Okay.
I think my teacher was just blown away by the culinary abilities coming out of my family.
Okay. But the thing about that is, if you were to ask my daughter Gigi, what is one of her memories of breakfast foods growing up, and she will tell you toad in a hole.
Yeah, it's great.
Of course, it was our sourdough homemade bread. I get that geeky, and we would cut it out and we would fry it until it was crispy in olive oil. Oh, yeah. Then we would put the egg in there. We'd put some aioli on the it was the whole thing.
That sounds great.
Right, but come on, that's so bagels, toad in the hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Anyway.
All right, so now let's talk about Dad, because I'm crying over here. So I just said spaghetti, red sauce, cheddar cheese, and you said, oh, no, that's my dad's side.
It is.
Is that a real thing?
Yes, that was growing up. Okay, well,
I had a lot of umami. There's a lot of
Yeah, I had a question for you though, because I feel like, you've probably made a marinara sauce or two.
Okay. Kelcey Stricker. It is marinara. It is not marinara.
Well, my family's from Wisconsin
So
on my
you say
dad's side
marinara.
and Canada on my mom's side. So you get what you get.
You get what you get, marinara.
Yeah. So he had always put in his sauce bay leaves and green bell peppers.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, you know, this is what I grew up with. And I was convinced this is how you make, you know, the red sauce. And then you, with the ground beef that you...
So really interesting bolognese is what's going on here.
Oh, man, I guess. And that was what he, the recipe never changed. So I was convinced, like, this is authentic, right? This is how you make this.
This is like real beautiful Italian marinara.
Yeah. And then you put a lot of cheddar cheese on top.
Wait a minute, in the sauce or?
No, on top. So you serve the spaghetti.
Okay.
And you got to mix it, right? Like I have this whole thing with foods and mixing and texture.
So really
and then the cheddar
toss the spaghetti in the marinara, and then that would go on the plate.
Yeah, and then you just grate just a ton of cheddar cheese.
Did it have to be Wisconsin cheddar cheese? Is there a favorite cheddar cheese?
It was whatever was cheapest at the store, but it was orange.
With?
Okay, orange.
Wait a minute. She does have a pretty strict protocol for this. It has to be orange, y'all.
Yeah. It's got to be orange.
And
as I've gotten older and more sophisticated, I really lean towards like a sharp cheddar cheese. I feel like that's, you know.
I think I need to, like, I'm going to just put myself out there and say, I think I need to taste this.
You should. My favorite part was when we were having a lovely conversation about food traditions, you know, and what you grew up with and the things you think are amazing until you know, go out into the outside world and everybody's just horrified by what it is you eat. Like, well, you know, and you're being very magnanimous. Well, you know, you grew up with these kinds of things. Like, I understand that. And I was like, yeah, you know, spaghetti with cheddar cheese. Oh my God, that's disgusting.
It was like my first thought, and then I went, wait a minute, if it's the right kind of cheddar cheese, and I'm working it all out in my brain, I think I'm just gonna try it.
Yeah, but to be fair, I have not met very many people who have that as.
Oh, I'll tell you. That's going to be like my thing now. Okay, so you know, it's interesting because I always think, like, as scientists, like you're always thinking about flavor profiles.
Right.
Are you thinking about, like, okay, this has this, it's not going to go with that?
And that's what helped me learn how to cook was I need to be very analytical in my approach, right? So I really like baking because it's very exact.
I was just going to say you must be a baker.
Oh, totally. I love it. It's so, you know, like, and you get it just right and you can kind of dial it in. Cooking, I was like, this is bullshit. You just throw in whatever you want at different, and there's no recipe. I was like,
I think a lot of people feel
anarchy.
This is anarchy. Being in the kitchen, especially, you know, a commercial kitchen, let me tell you, it is anarchy. And I always say that, like, you can't get me, I mean, I can bake, but it slows me down. It makes me kind of crazy.
Oh, I love it.
But I have so much respect for bakers. They're like my favorite people. This is why I like you. Okay, favorite thing you bake?
So I have a couple of favorites, but one of my current favorites is I do a salted caramel brownie where you make like the caramel sauce and use like the really big salt flakes on top. I don't, you know, I like baking, but I'm not a huge, I'm not a huge sweet person. So salted caramel is like one of my favorite things. And I've been really interested in like miso caramel. I've had that a few times, really like that.
I love that. That's I'm hearing that a lot from different people. Even
that's a good one.
From baristas.
Okay, yeah. So miso caramel, love that.
There's a really great barley based miso that's really super dark, a little chunky, like for baking, but the flavor profile's there. You know, it's funny, we're talking about food, and just so our listeners, and Kelcey, did you even know that we had our standard poodle wandering around sharking the studio? So
yeah, she came over and said hi.
Oh, she did say hi. Yeah. Well, you said brownies, and she was coming right over to you. That's like her TREAT word.
Oh, okay. It's a little trigger word for her.
It's a trigger word.
Yeah.
No more brownies and poodles.
Malted. You mentioned barley. Malted is one of my favorites, and I feel like it's kind of fallen out of fashion. Like, it was my favorite thing. My stepdad used to take me to the Sharks games, hockey games, and I always got the cable car malt. Do you remember? And you have to eat it with the wooden spoon. It's like the chocolate ice cream that comes in a cup and you yeah. But malted chocolate is one of my favorite flavors.
I love malt. I love malted. So then bring it back, girl.
I know. So you used to, like, what was it? Ovaltine? You used to have the
Ovaltine had malt in it.
Yeah.
Ovaltine was Ovaltine was a chocolate drink.
Yeah.
And that was in our cupboards growing. You're like, yeah.
Making me feel so old with my Flintstones vitamins and my chocolate malted Ovaltine.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about the Flintstone vitamins.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because I wasn't allowed to have those.
Oh, why
and
is
I'd go to friends' homes. My mom was on this, like, I'm a healthy, like, natural cooking mom in the late 70s and into the early 80s. And it was this whole thing she went through, right? Homemade breads. I think that's where I got a lot of some of my sensibilities, thank God. Because my mom's not the best cook. Sorry, Mom, but you're not. But all my friends, I'd go over to their homes and they would have those Fred Flintstone vitamins. And I was so jealous.
Legit.
I was so jealous, and I would try to eat them like 3 or 4 at a time, and then I'd get a stomach ache. So I just think that's, that was the thing.
Oh, it's totally amazing. No, I think the food landscape of the 80s was sort of a little hit and miss. Because
it was a lot hit and miss, not a little.
My parents really were trying to be healthy, but it was like, here, eat your Flintstones vitamins, drink the Diet Coke, and
have some more Ovaltine.
Have some more Ovaltine.
Before it goes out of fashion.
Did you ever have Five Alive? I was talking to my friend about the concentrated frozen juice. You just kind of stab at it with a wooden spoon because it was never
There was that. And then the Kool-Aid. Remember, like...
Oh, I wasn't allowed to have Kool-Aid. That was unhealthy, but I could have the Five Alive and
all the dye in it. But it was so cool, the Kool-Aid. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's just so crazy. Well, and then here you are at the other end. Like, you're a scientist, so you get all of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's your, excuse me, what is your favorite go-to dish that you make at home right now? Because I know Matt likes to cook.
Yeah. So it's been really interesting ever since our daughter went to college. We've been empty nesters for like 2 years now. And we like very different foods. So I'm totally a California girl, born and raised here, have that influence of all the fruits and the vegetables. And for as questionable as some of the foods were growing up, there was always vegetables on the table. Like it was a little bit more like fish, chicken, vegetables. And his background, he was born in, his mom's from Chicago, so he's more like the meat and potatoes kind of thing.
Deep dish.
Totally. So now that I'm not like cooking dinner for everybody in the evening, it's like, oh, we just kind of do our own thing. So I've been leaning more into plant-based stuff. I'm doing like a lot of ramen and different tofu dishes and things like that.
So not vegan per se, because vegan is like everything has to be
no animal products.
No animal product. But then there's plant-based, which is predominantly. Yeah. But you still have a little dairy or some fish.
Yeah. I mean, I do eat a lot of vegan foods, but I like to say plant-based because, I still eat cheese and fish and stuff. So,
but there's so much power even from plants for something like a cashew-based cheese.
I was going to ask for like, how do you feel about all these plant-based cheeses? I'm not sure. I've only found like maybe 2 that I kind of like.
Well, so my thing with plant-based cheeses is I think that like most anything, you have to have balance. Yeah. There's only, first of all, cashew isn't a nut, right? It's a drupe. It's a fruit. Yeah. And for people who are, allergic, there's different. Right. There's a different chemical base, right? Yeah. But so many of the cheeses are made from either cashew or almond, and you can have too much of that, and that's just not going to be really good for your gut. Yeah. But I'm a big fan of the plant-based cheese market. I love what's going on. I love Rebel, Miyokos.
Okay, I've seen,
right, really good brands. But the thing I like most about what they're doing is it's really clean. And when I talk about clean ingredients, right, you know this about me. It's like it's regenerative based. Farmed or growth, and it's good for the planet, it's good for the soil, it's good for the human, right? Right. So there's something to be said about that. But I do think that there needs to be more of a balance. But I'm going to change the subject because I know a little something about you that I think is hysterical because it reminds me of Leslie Knope on Parks and Rec.
Okay.
But this whole your infatuation with roller skating.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us about that.
Okay. So 100% self-taught group. Spent a little month, just so you know. But I spent a few years in Norco as a kid. So if you're not familiar with the area, Norco, still to this day, their whole, town motto or whatever is Horsetown, USA.
Okay, I thought you were going to say roller skating USA.
No, not at all. Horsetown, USA.
Sorry, Norco.
And in fact, when I was a kid, there was this whole thing about putting in the crosswalk buttons at a much higher height so you didn't have to get off your horse to press the button to cross the street.
I love that I now know that.
Yeah. And it was great as a kid. We had chickens, we had a little, garden, but I am also deathly allergic to horses.
Oh my gosh. So you live in Norco, you're deathly allergic to horses. So
there was no recreation outside of, go out, I'd get locked outside, go find something to do.
So how'd you find the roller skates, dude?
There was a roller rink. That was the thing. So, and it was air conditioned, so it gets
kind of
very
perfect
hot
and
in the
away
summer.
from the horses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so quick question. If you could take roller skating and Jimmy Cliff, who I know you're a fan of. What's the song you really love?
I Can See Clearly Now.
I Can See Clearly Now, the rain is gone.
Yeah.
Wow, I actually kind of held that. Do not mock my singing. But if you could take those two things and make a playlist for a foodie event.
Oh my gosh, and make a playlist for a foodie event. Well, let's see.
What would have to be on it? What is one?
Yeah, which is interesting because I don't usually like a lot of reggae music,
but you like this.
It's my favorite song ever, and I do like roller skating. But I feel like roller skating because it's definitely had its heyday in the 70s and 80s. But maybe it's got more of a.
But maybe roller skating with food.
Yeah, like Sonics where they skate out. And
yeah,
play your order.
There we go. See, now we're really on to something.
Yeah.
Okay, so your life philosophy is that for better or worse, all things come to an end.
Yeah.
How does this apply to your favorite meals?
Oh, for favorite meals. Well, okay, so a big part of that is even good things come to an end, right? So it's really all about enjoying it while it's happening.
100%.
So when something terrible is happening, it's oh, okay, it's not going to last forever. That's fine. But also, good things don't last forever. So when you're in the moment, just kind of sit there and enjoy it. And anybody who knows me well will tell you, I will always leave my most favorite thing on the plate to last. Do not ever take food off my plate or ask for a bite because I will eat from least favorite to most favorite.
I'm so happy I know this about you.
Every single meal.
Because we share meals, and I am that person.
Don't touch my food.
Oh my gosh, I love that. See?
Yeah.
We're total opposites.
Yeah.
I eat that first.
No, it's got to be last because I want that, the end, of, the last thing to be the best thing that you eat.
I love that about you.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a food that you absolutely can't stand, but everyone seems to love?
Probably mushrooms for me, especially if you eat a lot of vegetarian food. I cannot tell you how many restaurants where they're oh, vegetarian, here's a big ass mushroom on a bun. Nobody wants a soggy fungus on some bread.
I can't even talk right now.
Oh, let's just fry it up with some cheese or something. That's just the consistency of gray rubber bands. It smells terrible. It's not even a plant.
I have to compose myself right now. It's such a thing for...
Yeah.
Sorry, hold on. Ready? It's such a thing for restaurants with vegan or plant-based.
Yeah, it's gross.
We don't do it at Eat. I refuse to just take that portobello, saute it, and put it between two slices of bread.
It's gross.
It is kind of gross.
Even people that like mushrooms are really, this is it, huh? There's so many other options.
There are so many other options. You just totally threw me off track with that one. That's okay. All right.
I have an intense dislike of mushrooms.
I would never know. Now I know what to not serve you or to mess with you with.
Yeah.
All right. So in the spirit of combining science and fun, if you had to conduct a scientific experiment to prove that spaghetti with cheddar cheese is a culinary masterpiece, I'm curious what your hypothesis would be.
Well, I think actually how willing somebody is to admit that this is actually a really good dish has a lot to do with presentation. If you eat it the way I did on a paper plate with like the little wicker paper plate holder and a TV tray, you know.
Was it the flower TV tray?
No, ours were the folding kind that were plastic.
Yeah.
It didn't have a flower
Some
though.
of them
Yours
had flower.
No,
okay. It's okay.
No. But versus, you know, on a beautiful plate, and maybe you have the waiter come over and grates it, you know, fresh for you and does a whole presentation. I feel like that would totally make a difference.
Like tableside guacamole?
Yeah.
So we need to do tableside spaghetti with cheddar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Make it little, you know, it's all about the presentation, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we're just going to have to do this at my house.
Okay.
Share another
I'll bring
meal.
the sharp cheddar.
You bring that sharp cheddar.
Yeah.
All right. Share something about yourself that we don't know besides the spaghetti and cheddar and the mushrooms and the roller skating.
I think the only other thing I kind of wanted to talk about was, again, living in Norco as a kid. Yeah. Did you want to say something?
Yeah. So I think you shared this with me, something to do with plants and ants.
Oh, yeah. So I went to like, you know, a summer camp kind of thing, and it was in the Harupa Mountains. So I think it's still there, the Harupa Mountains Cultural Center.
J-U-R-P-A, right?
Yeah, R-U-P-A?
Yeah.
I'm a terrible speller.
Oh. Tell us about the ants, lady.
Harupa
I want to hear about the ants.
So there was, you know, and they would drag us around, take us hiking and all this, but it was a lot about what is edible. Like we did a whole thing on edible plants, how to survive in the desert. Like there was a whole survival component to this. How to build a still, like get water from plants. So we drank water that we pulled out of plants, but also what plants were edible and which ones aren't. And we did this whole thing where we trapped ants. And you're probably thinking of maybe like the small ones that get into your house, but that's not it. Our native ants are actually really big.
The big black ones.
Mm-hmm.
The big black ants, right?
Yeah, the harvest ants. So we trapped them. So they showed us how to build a little trap for them. And we mixed them all in with these native plants and made these like cakes, built a fire, cooked them, and ate them. So that was like one of my first experiences. Kind of bland.
Kind of bland?
Yeah, yeah.
Those little ants didn't have a lot of flavor, huh?
I mean, I think as a kid, I was just sort of thrilled. Like, I didn't know you could eat bugs.
Well, you would have to do that, introduce that to kids and not teenagers because they'd probably freak out. But maybe the mushrooms were on a strictly fungi diet.
Oh, my goodness. There were no mushrooms. It was too hot and dry. It was... Yeah, summer in Southern California.
I love that that's how we're going to end today's show. Mm-hmm. This has been the best conversation, and I have learned so much about you. And you truly are one of the funniest people. You have, at least for me, like you're one of the funniest people. You're intelligent. You're a great conversationalist.
Oh, thanks.
Maybe you should have your own podcast.
I don't know if anybody, I mean, my poor students already have to listen to me.
All day
long. Tell them what to do.
Tell them to tune in to At the Table.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Every meal shared is a conversation started. I want to thank our guest today, and I really want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. It means a lot to all of us. You can find us on Instagram, At the Table with Leah, and anywhere you listen to your podcast. At the Table is produced by the very mighty Studio 215, programming manager Nate Marriott, our awesome studio manager Brian Umali, and the gorgeous show producer Miss Mari Fuentes. Thanks for being here.